Welcome to the Daily Edge. Steve, Jake, Mark, we're the Noodlebergs. Let's find our edge. Always starts with our affirmation. I build my business on discipline, value, and adaptability. No matter the economy, I am prepared to thrive, not just survive.
Ooh.
Which in today's world is a hot topic because the question becomes, can you recession-proof your business? Because it appears that we're going to be in a recession.
Weren't we just here? Damn.
I mean, like 5 years ago.
Damn.
Right?
It's been
Like,
5 already.
Oh,
Yeah.
lessons. History leaves clues.
Right. I think when people talk about it, they'll talk about the 2008 recession and talk about a modern, culture.
Sure.
I'm not going to go back all the way because it's not as important. But, 2008, 2020 are like the 2 dates where people go, shit hit the fan.
Particularly in today's environment, because people live through those. Like you lived
Correct.
through the 2008 recession and the 2020 pandemic.
And so it kind of feels that people are panicking, but I think people have less of a panic. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. But anytime there is uncertainty, right, you start to really see the true character of people. And I think 2020 propped a lot of industries up, right? And now they are coming to a crashing blow, no pun intended for the stock market. But Dad, you've lived through, can't even say how many businesses now. You're 65, right?
Woo-hoo.
So you've seen the rise and fall. Give your take on the state of things right now.
Wait, what was that? Woo!
65, man.
I love it.
Somebody, recently said to me, man, you're 65, you don't look it.
You don't look it. No, you look great. All right, so how have you made it through business in this
I
time?
think it's a mindset. We are, we drill it in every walk of life. We drill it as part of the Get on the Ball Academy. It's important what you think. And if you buy into circumstances, you're fucked. It's always going to be a circumstance.
Okay.
9/11 was a tragic series of events that people bought into. We were in the hospitality space in sports. It was devastating to us. Yeah.
Ouch.
But I loved it during the pandemic because people were like, what are you going to do in these uncertain times?
Well, you love change. I really
have
do.
learned
You thrive in
You
change.
thrive.
adapt on it. Like, to me, it's a trigger to, the book, Who Moved My Cheese, was fantastic. It's simple, man. Your cheese is going to get moved all the time. And so for me, it was like, okay, this happened.
Yep.
What's next? So the idea that people are starting to talk about a recession creates a success, the recession. I don't have any control.
Yep.
I'm not doing all I can control. And again, we drill this, what I think and what I do.
Yep.
And if people get nervous and sit on the sidelines, that's a surefire way to have your business go away.
Like I said, your character shows up in times of distress or whatever
Yes.
you want to call it. And it's hard to go through daily life without hearing that trillions of dollars are being wiped out on a daily basis.
Yep.
Trillions, a lot of money, right?
I mean, look, there's thousands of people being laid off by Doge, right? Like
Doge,
no
every
control.
tech company is firing.
No control over that happening to you. No control over the tariffs being done and the stock market absolutely tanking. That's all reality. And then JP Morgan comes out and says, oh, it's a 60% likelihood that we're headed to recession. That's a lot of negative voices out in the marketplace that you have no control over, right? So you said you have a choice. You buy into it, you buy into what they're saying, or you don't. Now let's role play for a second. Let's say it's a guaranteed. We're going into a recession. As a business owner, how do you know? What can you do to go, you know what? It doesn't matter if we go into a recession. I know the things I need to do in order to be successful. What are those things?
So I love when someone says it doesn't matter. It matters.
Right.
It clearly matters.
A lot of businesses are going to go under and go away. That is going to happen.
Control the controllables. What can I control? I can control continuing to build my network every day. I've been doing it for 40 plus years in my career. That the recession doesn't affect that. Can continue to do that. Is it harder? Is it narrower? That is circumstance. If you live above your circumstances and just do what you're supposed to do, the right ones are still going to win, always.
Is there anything more important to a business in order to help them get through turbulent economic times than their relationships?
So it's a very interesting question because the building part has to happen before.
Right.
So, people, I had somebody reach out and say, hey, I have somebody in my sales department. They're really successful and they're kind of lazy now. What can I do? I said, you have to have a standard process that you manage people, not based on circumstance, not based on success or failure. Here's what we do. And what happens is people get scared. They stop doing what they're supposed to do. And that's not going to show up for a while. All of the things that got us through every event were behaviors that happened long before. And that's, I've been doing the same thing for 40 years. It's easier to do now. The tools are much easier, but nobody bought into the fact that you could conduct business if everything was closed.
Well, I think
and we did.
There's really two social capitals. There's from the side of your personal relationship, and then also your brand relationship with people, right? And I think at a time where awareness is the hardest to capture than it's ever been, that's really where the spending has to be, right? Is because you need to have a much larger group of people in order to have them spend money, right? It's the reverse funnel, right? As big as your awareness is, ultimately leads you to consideration and then buying, right? But it's a small number. And so if less people are going to spend money, because look, a factual nature is people don't really subscribe to I need to spend in order to make more. That's a scary thought, especially in time when money's not coming in, right? And so you have to be talking to a lot more people.
Well, I love that because what you said there was you have to spend, you have to figure out what you can spend. Like you hit on it back in 2020. I took the leap, started an entrepreneurial journey. We got this business plan written out. We're going to be modern sales and modern marketing. And what a cool way for us to bring on the ball back. And I'm like, great, here we go. Got this whole thing mapped out. And then boom, pandemic hits, entire world shuts down. We're not talking about a recession. We're not talking about tariffs. We're talking about stay the fuck home. You can't go anywhere or do anything. And circumstance to you was really important because they didn't say you can't do anything. They said you can't go anywhere. So, okay, if I have to stay home, what can I do from home? What's my process? What do I need to do? How do I still continue to grow my relationships, get people to know about me? So what's the what can we live on? What's that bottom line of the business?
You guys are
which was and you figuring out, okay, here's what the expenses of the business are. Bottom line, things we absolutely have to pay for to function. That is ground zero. What do we need to do? What do we need to sell? How do we figure out what our product offering is in order to match that to get us where we need to be? That is recession-proof.
Well, I love you always talk about it, that the employees and your constituents need to be tied into your scoreboard.
Right.
And now more than ever. And if you haven't had a culture where that exists, you now talking about numbers in front of people who have never really heard numbers, oh shit, they're talking about the numbers in front of me.
Red flags.
Oh shit, this is not good,
this is
right?
Going the wrong
because
way.
Obviously most of the articles, and if you're on LinkedIn, the tariffs and everything that are coming are talking about mainly manufacturing. They're talking about furniture stores, things that have large import export.
I mean, obviously the car business is upside down right now.
And I think owning the ROI for every individual in your organization is really important at all times. Like, yes, you're not always going to be tied into the scoreboard directly, but what are you really doing for
what
us?
value do you
bring,
provide?
right? And ultimately the ones that and the larger scale the company is, the harder this is, because a lot of your jobs are duplicated 17 different ways in these massive companies. And we saw with Twitter when Elon came in, fired everybody. It had glitches, but it worked at a number that was far less. And so really everybody is going to be asked, what value are you bringing? How are you tied in the scoreboard? What are you really doing? And I think for a lot of people that immediately turns them on. They get scared. They don't act. They're like, oh my God, that's real pressure. So what do you do to keep that buy-in with your people though during this time is really where.
Well, there's a reality that you have to address, which is that the largest P&L factor, the largest item on the P&L is people.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's, and so the easiest thing to do is to wax jobs.
Mhm.
The hardest thing to do is figure out where there's actually inefficiencies.
What is it? To trim
if-
fat versus muscle?
Right,
Is
right.
the
Right.
sentence.
If you personally get up in the morning and look yourself in the mirror and can't decide what value you bring to the
Right.
party, you are vulnerable.
Yep.
But that was not the case with us. We just said, what's next? What imagination? Here's the game. The pieces changed. Let's do that. And so it is recession proof if you pay attention to the basics. You got to know the bottom. You got to know, what you can live on. You got to know what your value is and how to share it.
So I want to double down on that, because knowing what your value is not knowing how you deliver that value. Those are two different things.
Yes.
The value your business provides and how you provide it are not necessarily locked together, right? You could figure out a different way to provide that value, and that will recession proof your business. Knowing how to be able to adapt, which I hate the word pivot, which everybody uses for 2020, because pivot is just going around in a circle. You're not going anywhere, right? But if you actually adapt and you actually change direction, that still keeps you moving forward. That still keeps you moving towards the goal, which I think is really hard for people to do, particularly the larger you are, right? And that's where this conversation is really interesting too, because everybody wants change. I don't think there's anybody in the country that goes, it's working exactly the way it should be working right now.
No.
I think prior to this, everybody would go, yeah, we probably need to change. Well, there's a really simple reality that's tied to that, is that there's a lot of pain that comes with change. Yeah. And so we're going to feel the pain in order to change.
Right, and get
now,
where we need to be.
You will either tuck your head in the sand and go, oh, change is happening. This sucks. Hold on. We got to do everything we've always done the way we've done it, and hopefully we'll make it. Or you go, change is happening. How do I adapt with the change? And what do we do in order to continue to move forward? And those are the ones that survive.
It's the same thing in sports, in business. If you're waiting to change when things go bad, you're probably really
too late.
You're really late. And now it's, oh shit, what do we do? Because now we have to do it. And so if your organization or your business offering, if you're an independent owner, what is the product, right? And how are you constantly modifying it?
I love this.
Yeah. Constantly modifying it when things are good. Are you asking those questions of can it be better? Well, what if this did happen? Well, it's not going to.
We don't know that.
Well, if it did, right?
Do.
And so most people go into the January or go, the first month or whatever their fiscal year is, if you're in the middle of the year, and they're like, all right, well, what can we do to change? And they don't really sit in that meeting and go, if we had an oh fuck moment, what are we gonna do? Right? Where would we pivot or change or whatever your choice is? But nobody really wants to do that when things are good, because everyone's feeling good.
So I think the takeaway that we've learned after all of these instances is that we're the product.
Right.
I'm the product, and I have ways to share and create awareness for me, which lead them to whatever opportunity is there. And the opportunities are not going away.
Right.
They're still going to be there. Someone else is going to grab your shit. That's a guarantee.
Yep.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Business isn't going to stop. The people who figure it out, and I said this to you because this is a traditional reaction. Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Are we fucked?
Oh God. Oh shit. Well, did I make a mistake? No, you didn't make a mistake.
Right.
And what I said, which I'm, sort of proud of the fact that I said it. I go, for the first time ever, everybody was on the starting line.
Right. Everybody. That was the thing about
people with tariffs.
Right.
Right.
Everybody was like, oh shit.
And listen, we didn't go down to offering $100 webinars.
Right.
We were selling $500 webinars at a time where nobody had money, which I think is another massive lesson. If you are solving problems, you will always have money.
Because you know what you need to do? Think.
Right.
Think and then do, and think and then do. That's what the nature of business is. Would it shock you that some of the biggest companies in the world started during recessions?
Yeah, of course.
Because
there's problems to be solved.
The insurance company Allstate started during
opportunity. Changes create opportunity always.
So if you're one of those people who gets caught up in the hype and is willing to say, oh my God, look at what's happening, and I'm going to wait till it gets back to normal. What is normal, man? That's what I said.
And so part of that mindset for you, right? Control the controllables, right? Focus on what you can control. And then the other one is like, as a growth mindset, you look at challenges and adversity as opportunities. Like if you listen to anybody in investing, everybody's always like, oh, now's the time to buy.
Yeah.
Like, stocks are down, the prices are down. Now's the time to
In
buy.
my lifetime,
If
it's up 126%.
if you listen to marketers, right, when everybody's going away from marketing, everybody's like, no, let's double down on marketing because we can grab more share right now, right? If you listen to people who started businesses during this time, they're like, no, this is the time to start it. So couple key components to recession-proofing your business, which is number one, make sure you have a growth mindset. Something you can control is the way you perceive everything that's happening. Look at it through a lens of opportunity, not failure.
What can I do, not what can I do?
Right. The next one, double down on your relationship capital, whether that's through your business development activity, whether that's through your marketing activity, however you are going about getting people's attention, having conversations with them, and providing value. That's a basic framework for what you should do in biz dev and marketing, right? And then the next one being be adaptable. Figure out how to adapt. That's three simple things that you can control that I would say, is there any, like, what else do you need to focus on?
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
You need to not be scared.
Okay.
Fear is a killer, man. Fear, you're stuck in your tracks. Everybody who's achieved something great in their life dealt with that fear.
Right.
They looked it straight in the face and said, this is my obstacle. I need to get over this.
Yep.
And that's what it is. So all of these things that are happening, they're going to continue to happen through our lifetime.
Yep.
And you're going to continue, but you get the sense that you can move through.
My thing is just make sure you got the right guys in the boat with you. Burn the boats behind you and have the right guys, and let's go to war.
I love that.
Is really my takeaway.
I love that.
It might not get pretty by the end, but we're going down and we're gonna fight.
Ooh,
like
very
make sure you have the right guys with you and right girls, because that would be.
Do you know who that might be? The right guys.
I'm looking for some new ones.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic episode. Thank you. Remember, control what you can control, which is what you think and what you do. Like, comment, share. We'll see you next time.